What's up, guys? Today I wanted to talk about the Holley Terminator and dual plane intakes. So last night I was on the forum and I just happened to read this article or part of their, like, some guys posting about dual plane intakes and the Terminator, and I was like, holy shit, you know, I'm having similar issues really on the top end. And yeah, I didn't know if it was my tune that wasn't right or hadn't learned up there yet. I mean, I don't spend a lot of time, you know, hauling ass. This is more like a low RPM, sort of old Bronco. So I spend most of the time at kind of like off idle and mid-range. And but you know, when I was installing this thing, I thought, you know, because of the place where the map sensor was, and I had a dual plane intake, I thought there was something kind of odd about that. So I didn't know if they had designed that on purpose or what, but. So what I have is I have a Holley Performer here, the powder coated version of it. It's dual plane, and then I have a 1-inch spacer, and I have that to bring up my the fuel injection, so like my air intake thing here can clear my valve covers. But on the side there, I don't know if you can see that. That's where the map sensor is, and I'm going to take this off. But this spacer is actually a 4-hole spacer. Because, you know, when I had a carburetor on here, this thing actually ran better with having the two sides separated. You know, the right and the left bank, or whatever, the way they separate them. You know, the plenum was separated. There was a divider. So I wanted to keep it divided with the 4-hole spacer, and that worked awesome with the car. But it's supposed to improve you know, low-end torque and, you know, keeping them separated like that for a street car. I guess what I was amazed about is that, you know. I mean, I'm assuming that 80% of these Holleys are going to be installed on street cars, you know, with dual plane intakes. Because, I mean, I got this thing for the fuel learning and closed loop, I guess. And to be honest, I mean, if I'm building a race engine, I'm not going to be freaking using a Holley Terminator. Yeah, I'd be using MPI or something else. But, I mean, I definitely wouldn't be using a Terminator if I was building a race engine. So, and typically, you know, single plane intakes are what you use on a high RPM engine. So, not usually a street car. So. Yeah, I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to, instead of notching out my intake manifold, I'm going to notch out this my spacer and kind of create like an opening for the two banks to be able to breathe back and forth, and hopefully that will fix some of the issues I'm having really upper RPM, you know, not being able to seem work right. It seems like the stutter when I kind of romp it, but also when I first start this up, it seems to have an idle. I'm not sure if it's idle air control valve or what it is, but it just seems to, not when it's in gear. When it's in gear, it's fine, but when it's not in gear, it seems to want to do a lot of hunting. So I'm been chasing that for about a year, but besides that, it runs actually great. You know, it's freaking awesome. But yeah, I'm gonna try this. Try to give it a little separator. Open up the separator, and I'll show you. I'm gonna grind out this carburetor. I mean, I want to do the spacer, not the manifold. So. Alright, I'm going to take this off, and I'll show you the design of where the map sensor is, just, you know, and the routing to the other bank. So I can see that, you know, the map sensor is not getting full signal to this bank right here. So because the map sensor is on the other side, it's not getting the right kind of airflow for this bank on the left bank. Alright, so I'm going to take this off. Alright guys, so here's the Terminator turned upside down here. And it looks like I'm trying to figure out where the map must be coming from right in here somewhere. I'm guessing this is the map. And, you know, when I first put this together, I was like, what the hell? I mean, here's my, I'd already notched this out because I thought this could be some sort of issue when I saw this. I'm thinking like, I mean, seriously, I mean, most people are going to be putting this on a dual plane manifold, so I'm surprised they didn't have this going around or somehow having the map distribute a little bit better. So, yeah, so it comes from there, so there's no possible way for this to get any air from the other bank. So in Holley, they said to either use like a you know, Edelbrock air gap manifold or 1-inch open spacer. But the problem is for the 351 Windsor, which the engine I have, the air gap manifold doesn't have the little notch out, and that's what they're talking about. They're talking about having a little notch out. Let me pull the spacer off here. So on a lot like the 302, the Ford 302, engine actually has a, because I've actually had a I had an air gap manifold. There's a little notch that's taken out like right here on the intake, and that kind of allows the banks to kind of spill over and communicate with each other. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to mimic an air gap manifold. So I'm going to take my carbide cutter tip and smooth this up and cut it out a little bit, so it kind of and make it very aerodynamic, because I'm trying to prevent any sort of like, you know, I don't want any like, I guess, disturbances. Yeah, I don't want the fuel to build a puddle anywhere, so I'm trying to minimize that. So I'm gonna make this sort of like an aerodynamic sharp cut here, but I'm gonna do that right now. I'll come back and I'll show you. Hopefully that will solve some of the issues, allow the banks to communicate. I should probably check that. Also make sure that this is getting, that should be good enough. So, okay, cool. I'll be back. I'm gonna get this cut out and put it back on there. If you're wondering how I'm doing this, I have like a carbide tip on here, and once I'm done, I'm kind of just basically going through this and trying to open up the plenum here. I don't know if I can get that on camera while I'm doing it, but trying that out. I'm going to try to open that up a little bit, but I want to make it sharp and aerodynamic. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to use my little sanding drum here and clean it up. And hopefully I can get better air distribution, I guess, over the top here. So I'm trying to mimic an air gap or a notch out. Alright, cool. Getting there. You know, I could quickly just throw like an open spacer in there, but I'm trying to keep this as dual plane as much as possible to keep my torque and power bound lower, because this is a truck, so I want this thing to build torque and throttle response down low. So I don't want to like a fully open throttle spacer, man. I'm trying to keep this thing torquey. So you can see now I have a little gap down there, and that's going to allow the air to spill over, hopefully. But alright, I think that's probably good enough for now. I'm going to sand it here and get it all cleaned up. So that's the finished product. So it's still almost a dual plane intake or dual plane spacer, but as you can see, there's a little notch out of there to allow air to go over. So that hopefully that helped out a little bit. At least it made the map sensor can get a better reading of what's going on there. But I guess we'll try this. Cool. So, you know, quick thought when I'm putting this back on, as you can see right there. This is the idle air control valve right here, and it seems like it would be hitting right here. So that might be some of my issues with the idle air control. So I think I'm going to grind this out further back here and get that going, because it seems like when I had the four-hole gasket on there, maybe, and you know, it wasn't getting any freaking air, enough air to the idle air control valve. So I don't know, man. Maybe it is. Maybe they should really fucking put that. Like, dude, dual plane is almost a freaking no-no on this freaking. I don't know, man. It doesn't seem like it would have enough room to. I mean, definitely you need to have an open spacer gasket, you know, not like one of these 4-barrel ones. So, all right, well, fuck, that's crazy. All right, I notched that back a little bit further, so hopefully now I'll be able to get a much better signal here with this idle air control valve. At least I'll have more room to get in there. So, all right, let's see if this works. Okay, guys, got the engine running. So I don't know if you can hear that hunting issue. It's only when it's in idle and not in gear. So once I can put this thing in gear, we're perfectly fine. But like I said, since I've made such an extensive modification, not extensive, but you know, I made changes to it, so I'm sure it's going to have to relearn, and I'm sure the dynamics now of the engine are a little bit different. So, all right, cool. I think that's get this for testing and see what happens. All right, seems like it's a little bit smoother. I'm gonna let this thing go for a couple days and relearn and see what happens. But yeah, the transition seems just a little bit smoother. So I guess we'll see. All right, cool.